Hello, I'm Nathan Judah. I'm delighted to be joined by Mr. Joe Edwards from Selhurst Park, very cold, wet Selhurst Park, Joe. And that wasn't just the weather; it's the football as well. That was pretty brutal, mate, from start to finish. We all thought they wanted to build on that 0-0 against Chelsea. We know it's a pretty of a dour game, but they had to stop the rot at some point. But they haven't. It's just got worse, hasn't it? I mean, all that good work at at Stamford Bridge has been undone. Really poor results.
Yeah, one step forward, two steps back. That's the only way you can describe it, because they laid a foundation at Chelsea, something to build on. But it was a familiar story again. You know, rearing its head again here at Selhurst Park, just lacking a cutting edge and letting in a sloppy goal. You know, they just lack ruthlessness at both ends of the pitch, and if you don't have that, you're not going to win games of football. It's 8 without victory now in the Premier League. That's the longest run of league games without victory under Nuno, and it's no surprise with them performing like this. You wanted them to build on Chelsea. We thought, yeah, they've got the building blocks there, an encouraging display. Let's kind of capitalise upon it and have the cutting edge and the free flowing attacking. And there was one or two moments in the first half, but nowhere near enough. And the second half was pretty much a non-event. And Palace made it 1 for Eze. They could have and very much should have made it 2. There was a hard towards the end, and another rubbish day at the office. Awful.
Yeah, I mean, look, from an attacking point of view, I can't remember a decent shot on goal. I mean, you got Jose really who forced a shot. A decent save, I guess, from Guaita. A nice little turn and a hit first time. But apart from that, they were kind of insipid up front, weren't they, really? There was nothing there. I understand the conditions were difficult, as they were for both sides, but they didn't create much all afternoon.
Midfield was so passive as well. I mean, it's a common theme. I mean, Neves was on the bench. You've got to think he wasn't fit enough to be involved, because surely he would have come on. Wolves were lacking creativity in the middle of the park. So much of it is sideways and backwards now. Made a point of watching Moutinho for a good kind of 5-minute spell, and was trying to count the amount of passes that he was making forwards, and 95% of them were back or sideways. And,
really?
and that just sums Wolves up at the minute. They're not taking risks. They're not believing in themselves. And Nuno said as much afterwards. The key thing, if you're trying to be solid and trying to be compact, you've got to make the first pass count. You've got to be on the front foot and trying to hit teams on the break. And Wolves are just far too slow in their play at the minute. And I think that the main source of that is the middle of the park. And Moutinho again, he's been poor for a while, and that didn't change today.
So what do you do? What do you change, Joe? Because you've got this squad. We don't expect any real incomings on Monday or deadline day. Or does Jeff Shee look at this? Does he look at the table and go, if we're not careful here, no wins in 8, we could get sucked into a relegation battle here, and maybe they might have to bring in 1 or 2, or do you think the as Nuno says, and some of the fans aren't particularly happy with the solutions are within?
Well, he said that again after the game today, so I'd be surprised. I think the only proper piece of business will be an outgoing, which Nuno confirmed afterwards will be Cutrone going to Valencia, not named in the squad today, so that's one that's going to happen before Monday's deadline. But in terms of incomings, I'd be very surprised at this stage.
So what changes? No saves today, Joe. No. Patricio's having a tough time of it. At the moment. Conor Cody had a tough day at the office. Do we need to look at defensively as well as up front?
Yeah. I don't think anybody's position is guaranteed. When you're on this run, I've got a bit of stick for suggesting Ruddy could come in for Patricio. Why is Patricio a nailed-on starter at the minute? I mean, it's worth a look. You know what I mean? I'm not saying take him out and not play him again this season, but it's something worth considering. You've got another keeper there who's very vocal. I'm not disputing that Patricio is the better goalkeeper, but when you're not winning games, nobody's position is guaranteed, and they need to find a solution from somewhere. They've got a dilemma at the minute where they play 4 at the back, they look more likely of scoring, but they look very, very shaky at the back. They play 3 at the back, they look more solid, but they've got nothing going forward. So it's something that's got to be worked out and worked out quick.
Are they in a relegation battle, Joe, or is it too early to say? You know, I mean, obviously you got the likes of Albion who've drawn 2-2 with Fulham. I guess if you're looking at it like that, it's a pretty good result. But you know, for all intents and purposes, two are pretty much down. And you think maybe, you know, I've always got to be very careful here. I mean, they've got a good run of games coming up. I think after Arsenal, in a couple of weeks. But if they keep on playing like this and they're devoid of confidence, then look, every game's a struggle, because that's what it is at the moment. Watching Wolves is a struggle.
Yeah, it is a struggle. I mean, they're 14th, 23 points from 21 games. You'd probably say that's just about better than relegation form, but not by much, to be honest. Yeah, if they're not careful, they're going to get sucked into it. I don't think they're quite in there yet, but they're heading that way unless things change drastically and soon. As Nuno says, there's so many things that they've got to work on, and the speed of play is the big one. They're just so slow and tepid. At the minute, it's just all sideways, and it's lethargic, and it's boring to watch.
The game's come thick and fast, though, and look, they don't get any easier. I mean, they've got a difficult 3 games. I say that it kind of eases itself up after the FA Cup game, but you know they've got Arsenal, they've got Leicester, they've got Southampton. You know, he needs time to work with them, and he needs time to sort this out. But Tuesday night, and Arsenal are here. What changes do you think need to be made? Can you see him making changes? Has he got enough in the squad to make changes? Because you don't really want to be relying on the youngsters, do you? Well, for the last 10 or 15 games.
No, well, if Neves is fit enough, he's got to play.
Okay.
You know, Moutinho and Dendoncker are just not doing enough in the middle of the park. So if Neves is fit enough, get Neves in. Yeah, nobody's really performing well, are they? It's hard to know what the solution is, but you know, these are top, highly paid players and highly paid staff, and it's up to them to find, as Nuno would say, the solution. So fingers crossed.
I'll give you a solution, Joe. I'll give you a solution. The solution is close that laptop.
Yeah.
Get yourself out of there. Get yourself in a dry car. Get yourself up the M1. Have a coffee on the way and get into bed, mate. Not a good day at the office. Crystal Palace 1, Wolves 0 for the post-match reaction. Make sure you log on to expressandstar.com.